Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this breakout session. We will have the opportunity here to hear from government leaders from 3 different countries in Africa. I am Patrícia Baialuna de Andrade. I'm an assistant professor of Brazilian literature in the Department of Spanish and Portuguese here at BYU, and it is my honor to moderate this session. We will hear today from Adilson Leitão Silvestre de Almeida, government official in the Angolan Ministry of Culture and Tourism. Then we are going to have Mr. Roger Sesani Makuntima, Deputy Chief of Staff, Ministry of Gender, Family and Children from the Republic of Congo. And then at last we are going to have the Member of Parliament of Mozambique, Gabriel Xavier da Barca Jr. So I'm going to introduce each of them and give them the time to speak, and hopefully we will have a few minutes at the end for Q&A, okay? So, Adilson Leitão Silvestre de Almeida serves as Director General of the Angolan National Institute for Religious Affairs. He is an elder in the United Methodist Church and has served in several capacities, including his current role as President of the Board of Church and Society for the West Angola Annual Conference. He teaches theology, church history, philosophy, language and New Testament, and Biblical Greek at the United Methodist University of Angola. He was previously a consultant in the SOL Bank Holding Company, CEO of the SOL Bank Foundation, and executive administrator of the SOL Bank Insurance Company. He earned a master's degree in theological studies in a combined program between Africa University in Mutare, Zimbabwe, and the Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C. Completed a postgraduate course in International Relations and European Studies from the University of Évora in Portugal, and received a degree in Divinity from Africa University in Zimbabwe. So, time is yours.
Obrigado, Patrícia.
Thank you, Patrícia. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, organization, for the invitation. I bring salutations from my country, Angola. Muzikeli Kibi. A saudação. This I can't translate. I'm greeting you in my native language. And I say Muzikele Kibi, and you'll say Gambote. So when I say Muzikele Kibi, you say Gambote. Thank you very much. I have a presentation for you today that it has to do with the theme of the symposium. In reality, it's a little larger than I thought, and my fear is that I have to bridge everything that I have to say. And I just want to say thank you, especially to the University of BYU, Brigham University, for the invitation, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, especially the Faculty of Law, apps, that they have done everything they could to bring me here today. Today, I would like to speak of the theme, which is to protect the rights of freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. To celebrate the 75 years of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and of the rights of men. My topic today, and you can see it, we have about 7 points, but first let's do the general framework of everything that I hope to say in the situation of the country of Angola, that, you know, in respective to the liberty of thought, conscience, and religion. After, I will introduce you my country, Angola. As so many of you may or may not know of my own country, whether or not you serve the mission right in Angola. However, I think it's important for me to give you, to let you know a little bit more about my country, so you know where we're located and what's going on, including the nature as well as resources, as financial, economic resources in general, as well as culturally resources. After that, I'm going too fast. So, oh, yeah, he's just referring on how the slides is going too fast. After that, number 3, we're going to be talking about the Constitution of the Republic of Angola. Also, and I'm going to talk about the religions in Angola, and then I will just finish of what we're gonna, what does this mean, and where are we going from here in relation to the topic of the conference. Okay. Like everywhere in the world, freedom of thought, conscience, and religion in Angola, it's a process in the making. And we have room to grow much more, for sure. There is, however, a set of international conventions on human rights that Angola as a country has signed and has ratified since its independence in 1974, when he got independence. These rights and freedoms are reflected in the Constitution of the Republic of Angola, and also in one of the articles of the law, which is the freedom of religion and worship, as well as in the decree of 28th of February, which is a regulation of the previous law. So today, this answers 3 questions. The first one is, how is Angola doing in terms of protecting the rights and freedoms of expression, thought, and religion? So that's the first question that we can talk about. The second one will be, what kind of agreements have been signed and what legislation exists for this in Angola? And last but not least, is what we were going to do to improve the challenges we still have for the freedom of religion, thought, and conscience. Next slide.
First question.
So first question, how is Angola in terms of protecting the rights of freedoms? So this brings 3 questions, right? Where is Angola? Where is located? And what is its population in mineral resources? And what are the main religions in Angola, right? So the main question has 3 other questions. In terms of, so Angola is located geographically on West Africa and is bordered north and northeast by the Republic of the Congo, to the east, Zambia, to the south, Namibia, and to the west, the Atlantic Ocean. Angola is divided into 18 provinces, about 165 municipalities, and geographically is 1,460,700 square kilometers. And the population density is about 32 million inhabitants, according with the census in 2019. About 95% of Angolans, they come from the Bantus, Bantu, which is the same as several other nations in Africa, as you will recognize them. And these are a part of a variety of ethnic groups. The chief among us, it's called Ovimbundu, which is 1/3 of the population. Next, the Ambundu, to which I come from, which is about 1/4, and the Bakonkus, which is about 10%. And so this is the map of Angola, so you can actually see it, how it looks like a square, right, as you can see. So in the south, you can see the Zambia, right? And then you see in blue the Atlantic Ocean, and then you can see Namibia, and over there to the north, as you can see, the Republic Democratic of the Congo, which is a large extension with Angola. Whew, that's a lot, right? Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, it's all right.
So in terms of religion in Angola, according to the census of 2014 to 2016, the majority of the Angolans are Catholics, which is a third of the of Catholicism, and then and those would be the Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, and the Congregational churches. We also have Adventist Church, Neo-Apostolic, and Pentecostal, and some of influence of Brazil, which is the case of the Universal Church of God out of Brazil. We also have several out of Brazil. We also have the churches of Quimbanguistas and Taoists, which in English would be churches who were born in Africa, and those are called Quimbanguista and Taoísta. We also have some people who practice that traditional religion, which in reality is the one that we produce and send it to other countries, which you remember, such as Candomblé and a few others, right? That these religions might have been taken around the times of slavery. Which some of these, which we called secret, it's secrecy religions, because they have some practices that are native that we don't know, not necessarily know exactly what they are. You could see the map right there, as you can see in the numbers, right? So just for you to understand, so in Christianity, so Christians, it's about 33 million, which is about 90.5% the population, which is most of the population. So naturally, Angola is Christian in nature, right? Although we have a secular state, right? There is a separation between a church and state. However, and in fact, we think actually this is actually a very low number, which actually we think it's more than this. After that, we have those who are a-religious, who don't have religion, or atheism, which is about 5.1. And the next one, which is the ones that we talked about, the pure African religion, were born there. And then is Islam, as you can see, which is not quite recognized. And because of commerce and partnership, all of those aspects, there's quite a few members of Islam who live in Angola. Okay, so you can see these images. These are images of, this is the globe in Africa, in the globe. In terms of richness, you can see we have 35 of the 46 largest minerals in the world, and especially oil, diamonds, and natural gas. Population, let's do this first. Okay, no, let's see before. Okay. All right, number 2. What kinds of agreements have been signed and what legislation exists? Okay. So Angola is part of several international bodies, including the UN, and we were part of the Security Council, the African Union, the region of the lakes, and we also have several. As you can see, we have several groups that we believe. So we have, excuse me. We have, and so you can see the numbers right there. The agendas are for the UN. It's sustainable. The agenda of Africa has to do strategy for the development of human rights. So these, as you can see, okay, let's move, looks like. Okay, let's go forward one more. Okay, we have international agreements that we need to say it. So we have the one from 1975, the convention to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women, the Convention of the Right to Protect Children, and the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities. So I gave you an example. For example, Angola is a beacon for Africa, empowering women. And as reflecting, you can see right there, there's a large number of 40% of women that belong to the parliament. Women, they also some of the most businesslike in the country. Let's move on. Another example, the currently vice president, she is Dr. Costa, and she's a woman. The president of the Constitutional Court, it's a woman, Doutora Laurinda Monteiro Cardoso. The president of Parliament, the Parliament has about 220 MPs, which 40% are women, including the president. And so we could see how Angola is building. So let's move on. Okay, one more. So the Constitution of Angola respects all of the rights, right? Or we try. Next. I could speak a little bit about the history, but if you want to understand the history, especially of religion in Angola, and moving away of the liberty of conscience and liberty of thoughts, we need to start talking about in 1482, the Portuguese Diogo Cao, he was the first explorer Portuguese to arrive in Angola with Jesuit priests to, at the time, the Kingdom of the Congo in 1842, and that's where we start the first religion and out of Europe. After that, we have the Catholics, we have the Baptists, and we have the various assembly churches. And after the independence, to date, the first time that our government started giving legitimacy to other religions, it was in 1987. And at 87, and at that time, 12 of them were given legitimacy. And then in 1992, it was a prolific time. Angola was in war. So Angola, sadly, has the longest civil war in Angola, about 30 years. And there was a lot of prolific religion, and every religion moved in because obviously there was war and everybody came in. And at that point, we create the law that you can see 2/04 that talks about the law of liberty, religion, belief. In 2008, we create platforms to recognize religious groups who had no legitimacy. And so, for about 20 years, Angola did not give legitimacy to religious groups. And in order to correct that, the government created 4 platforms in order to help with that, right? So they could be part of each of one of those 4 platforms in order to have legitimacy. And that was all the way up to 2012. And then in 2018 and 2019, a law came out, which is the law of religious liberty, even if it has been there for a minute, and if you can think, even if it's been there for a minute, but officially it was ratified in 2019. And that constitution in 2019, the new law of the religious freedom, that's when it happened. I am actually the director of the to allow those legitimacies, to allow those privileges, and that those religions can actually exist. I am the person who does that, which is important that we continue to promote that in Angola. And finally, it was ratified in 2020, and that decree, as you can see there, just happened in 2020, which is that we have to promote, we regulate, and we help. So, obviously, there's a long history. You can get my documents later, and you can read it. It's so pretty much I wrote a book for all of you, right? But you can move on, okay? Okay, just go back a little bit. So the law of May 14, which is the liberty of religious and worship, it has 5 principles, just so you understand. The first principle is the separation of state and religious bodies. Each religion has their faith, and it's separated from the government. However, the government supervises. They are protected, and they are protected. Everybody that belongs to those organizations, from priests, as long as they do not do anything against the state. The relationship between these groups, these religious groups, and the government is going to be it's a healthy relationship until the moment that these bodies, these religious groups, threaten the government. Number 2, equality. All religious groups have exactly the same rights, and have the same love and the same opportunity. Number 3, there is a cooperation. That's why I'm here, because I want to cooperate between government and that's why I'm here, because I have a good cooperation, a good relationship with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I am actually the one who gives all of the visas, all of the visas that missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I'm the one who approves it. The other one, it's the legal aspect. In Angola, we have about 85 religious groups that we recognize. 33 are about to be recognized, and about 3,000 they're not recognized. So as you can see, the government it's a little confused because of all of these different groups and their status right now. So we are trying to it's impossible to recognize every group and every religion, right? Because if not, we will have a complete anarchy. And talking about the law, for example, Judaism, Shintoism, and any religion with a minority, instead of they looking for to be recognized, we make sure that they are visible. If that's the case, do you want me to finish? Okay, I can finish. Okay, let's go to the end. Let's go to the end. Very end. Okay.
I brought 2 reflections. Trouxe 2 reflexões.
I brought 2 reflection of John Wesley, and obviously I'm a Methodist, and I have to talk about him when I talk of the liberty of religion and of thought. The first reflection, and I think he's speaking in English right now, friends. He's gonna have, okay, there you go.
That's one thing we Methodists do. We think and let others think. Second?
Condemn no man for not thinking as you think. Let everyone enjoy the full and free liberty of thinking for himself. Let every man use his own judgment, since every man must give an account of himself to God.
Thank you very much.
Today I have the opportunity to share with you the experience and what matters for my country in the DRC, where the freedom of religion and conviction and conscience in the context of marriage, 75 years after declaration of the UDHR. J'aimerais recognize the organization of this symposium, first for the invitation and then for this wonderful work in carrying this through. The freedom of of thought, of conscience, and religion, as delineated in the Declaration of Human Rights. It's an essential right, and this is also enshrined in the African Charter in Article 8, which states that the freedom of conscience and profession and the free exercise of religion are guaranteed, adding also that under the public order, no one should be constrained or contrained to exercise this freedom. Within the DRC, then in reference to the legal text and all the documents that we have ratified, including the UDHR, since our independence in 1960, the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion has been regulated and established as the norm. This is how, with the Constitution, in all our constitutions that we have established since 1960, you can see at the 12th article, the freedom of religion and conscience being highlighted. We also have the Constitution from June 24th, 1967, that also re-emphasized this freedom of religion and conscience. The current Constitution of our country, which has been adopted in 2006 and modified in 2008, brings back this principle, mentioning that everyone has the right to, has the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and of conviction and religion, and recognizing, for inasmuch as there is respect, it honors the law of public order. And when we speak about freedom of religion and conviction, public order is kind of a mechanism to limit or to temper the desire from certain group to absorb other groups. For example, we have the Catholic Church that is minority in our area, and then for example, we have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that has started to kind of be established all around. Also, donc, so in order to slow down the rise of certain cults, certain faiths, there is kind of this notion of public order that is kind of imposed. This is also a tool that allows all the different faiths to accept one another or each other within the public sphere. And there is also the guarantee of liberty of thought, conviction, and religion, which is enshrined in our Constitution in Article 13, and the principle which forbids all practices that tends to stifle the freedom of the religion of other Congolese. And since these 75 years after we adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's important to recognize that the DRC has made great improvement in the freedom of religion and thought, in the sense that it has integrated these principles from Article 18 that in its constitutions. It's important also to recognize that in regards to this principle of freedom, principle of human rights, this principle can also testify to the fact that certain rights or regarding the freedom of thought within the context of marriage is a little bit soften or stifle there. For me, it's important for me to emphasize the need for liberty, freedom of thoughts, of conviction and religion within the context of marriage. And in that context, and since 1948, we have made progress. In effect, the law enacted in August 1st in 1987 in regards to the family code that organizes a relationship within spouses in DRC. There, the lawmakers didn't want to stray from the tradition. In this, the woman who's reaffirmed and consecrated, kind of dedicated in many dispositions and in many areas. And this code, this family code, without ambiguity, then emphasize the masculinity or the preponderant kind of presence of the man. So certain customs and kind of old customs kind of slow down the access to these rights, to the freedom of thought, conviction, and religion. So a married woman then almost loses access to these freedoms. Such, for example, one of the practices, the traditional practice, is that after the death of the spouse, the marriage is supposed then to do them part. The custom is to impose to the woman that she ought to be connected now to the brother of the late husband. And then, so for example, then also it means you can even claim a daughter who so a daughter, for example, who's not even born, could be promised to a man that way because of that tradition. And these customs also may allow certain parents to marry their children as young as 13. These traditions, for example, do in a way affect the full enjoyment of the freedom of conscience and conviction and religion. And so since 2016, and so we have a couple of laws that have come into effect to modify the 1987 law in regards to family relationships and in between spouses. And so we still see certain traditions that weigh in very specific ways on the spouses and within the marriage in regards to the freedom of thoughts, conviction, and religion, and for the wife to make choices that she wants freely in regards to her faith. And there are also other obstacles. We have we have a country that is about over 2.3 million square kilometers, and with a population of 89 million inhabitants, and then so it's a little bit difficult to reach all areas in the country and to popularize this law and make it known. And also, where the legal marriage is accepted or celebrated as being the legal marriage, when there is discrimination and there is a constraint in freedom, and then a spouse could reclaim their right before a court in regards to the need to exercise their freedom of thoughts and religion. And so, for example, there's a lot of administrative cost, and also what we call, and the dowry is also a big obstacle, as it is onerous for people to have access to this freedom of thoughts and religion. And so the question is, what is to be done? What's the role the government and the church should play in order to allow those who enter into marriage to have access to freedom of religion and thought and conviction? So the response here, there seemed to be a response here, and I would like here then to honor respectfully the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and for its efforts in engaging the Congolese governments. I see John, David here. I see Mr. and Mrs. Kosuki that are here to be with us and that are participating in a project which is an experience, a partnership between the church and the state in regards to marriage issues that regards matters about freedom of religion and thought and within marriage in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then this project strives to plead for an ease in legislating marriages. And then so here we have a few pictures here that shows how the church has gotten involved in helping and pleading for many of these adjustments be done within the country so that a legal marriage exercise in the country protects both men and women. I would like also to mention the celebration collective of marriages that are collective celebration of marriages for couples that have gotten married and that are trying to claim the right to the freedom of thought, conviction, and religion. And these are couples here, the pictures of who have participated to this project, organized all around the Republic. And then it's going through different states, countries, and states. The project strives also to popularize, to democratize the family code around the country, allowing the woman to have access to the freedom of thought, marriage, and conviction, so that marriage is balanced and there's equity in the marriage. And this project has this project is led and unites all religious confessions. And so in leading that effort, the Church of Jesus Christ is also bringing in all the religious council of the council of religious groups, and then we have the Catholics here, the Protestants, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then we have on the side here is then an administrator for the church who comes and helps in this project. And then the project also establishes, works with celebrities, important personalities to help expand these family values. There are a lot of kind of territories that are not very aware of all the changes at the national level that are still implementing old customs and texts and that continue to promote certain practices that are not favorable to to help move forward these freedoms that we try to guarantee to all people and to the women. And then so these people, these personalities, these celebrities help make these new changes known all across the country. And the project that we work on also is working to help those parliamentaries, the MPs, in regards to reducing the cost that are required in regards to help couples to have easy access to marriage, to allow marriages to be organized at through the state at a lower cost, so that more people may be able to legalize their marriages. Other value added to this project are the fact that it allows many of those the faithful of various churches to have access to marriage, where they not only the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, many of the churches that want to secure legal and lawful marriage for their disciples. And so in conclusion, the church is becoming a recognized voice in terms of family values in DRC, and especially in regards to respecting the liberty of thought, conscience, and religion within marriage. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Muito obrigado a todos.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Vocês falam português?
Do you speak Portuguese? Oh, thank you.
Quero primeiro agradecer a
I'd
Deus,
like to first thank our Heavenly Father.
a universidade,
I'm grateful to the university, as well as the Church of Jesus Christ, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, for this opportunity
muita coisa.
of being here. I have learned so much, and I leave more illuminated and a richer person. So in the name of my country and my countrymen, thank you from my heart. In my country, there is a scream of war, and I want you to know that, because we are all warriors fighting for a better world. So I'm going to say choo 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 goo, and you guys are going to say hey, and then the next one, hey, 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 hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
É com imensa alegria e
It
orgulho
gives me immense joy and pride to share with
minha
you
visão sobre
my
aspectos
vision
sociais
of crucial aspects that must guide the life of our societies, namely
a proteção
the
dos
protection
direitos à
of the
liberdade do
rights
pensamento,
of the freedom of thought,
consciência e de
conscience,
religião.
and religion.
Eu nasci em meio
I was born
tolerância religiosa.
among. I always known religious tolerance. My mother, she believes in Islam, and a Christian dad and a Christian father, and so I was lucky enough to celebrate all of the holidays from these two religious, because there's a lot of food, and I was so happy that I was always happy to celebrate all of these festivities for these religious. This is, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful things in my life, to share religious costumes, religious behaviors that are different, because at the end,
Os dois costumes
I realized that both thoughts,
para a mesma direção,
they moved in the same direction,
para Deus
and that
Todo-Poderoso.
is our Heavenly Father.
Por isso que a preservação da
Therefore,
liberdade
the
religiosa
preservation
no
of
plano teórico
religious
e prático
liberty in practical
ponto
terms,
fundamental
it's
de extrema
fundamental
importância,
and very,
não
very
só para
important,
garantir
not only to
direito humano
guarantee
básico em
the
todas as
basic
comunidades
human
e
rights in
culturas,
every community
mas
and
também
culture, but also because it constitutes, because it is important to society. The religion in every society, it's extremely important when it comes to tolerance, respect, but above all, in the promotion of spirituality. Today, we know that societies are declining, and churches are important in order to keep the flame of spirituality alive amongst all people. This is why religion for my society, and I believe to all societies, it is important because it's the light and the beacon that brings light to the soul of man. And this is why we have so much respect about religiosity. The religious leaders in my country, they echo that respect amongst each other. Therefore, religion, it's one of the most important institutions in our society. In our society, it's very important in the chain of values. When society loses their tolerance and love, they will lose their spirituality. Today, we see a lot of opportunities in the world to distract us from our spirituality. We have so many shiny things that sometimes we think, oh, we don't need God, or we don't need our religiosity. But when we lose our spirituality, we lose the human sense, we lose tolerance, and we lose love and love for our neighbor. Sometimes we ask, why is there so much violence? Because we are losing our spirituality. We are not respecting that religiosity. Let me tell you a story about the lack of respect to the other, the lack of the lack of liberty of others' rights. At one point in my country, there was a problem with the health professionals, doctors, nurses, right? And they wanted better conditions for their work. So they decided to go talk to the government. However, the ministers and the advisors, the advisors to the ministers, they said, we cannot receive this group because they were asking for, there wasn't anything in the law that allowed this group to be received, because there was no provision in the law, unless if it was true, the order, the order of the doctors. And so the leader of the doctors' organization said, I really don't want to be responsible for the claim of this group of individuals. And so therefore, they were not heard. And therefore, the advisor said, no, we're not going to help you. So what did this group of nurses and doctors decide to do? They decided simply to stop. They went on strike. During 40 days, they gave minimal help and assistance. Do you know what happened because of that? About 1,000 people that they needed, they were waiting for surgeries, and very about 1,000 people who needed surgeries, they died as a result of that. We lost about 1,000 individuals because of that act.
Quando a situação começou a ser insustentável,
When the situation became even more precarious and worse, the government said, wait, maybe we'll go back and let's go ahead and call these rebels, and let's listen to them.
conseguiram recuperar o diálogo.
They were able to finally start talking,
Conseguiram trazer de volta 1.000 pessoas.
but sadly, those 1,000 countrymen of mine, they were not. They continued to fight. They were not be able to bring them back to life.
Isto aconteceu
And you know why this happened?
por causa da intolerância,
Because of intolerance
da prepotência do uso
and the
da lei.
overbearing of the use of the law.
Porque as sociedades
Because
se esquecem de
societies
algo
forget that there
chamado
is something
graça.
called grace.
Toda lei que
Any
anda
law
sem graça
That walks without the companionship of grace loses its perfume. Grace is something so strong that it can pacify more and faster than what we think. It will canceling intolerance. It will promote forgiveness. For example, when a judge says, I am going to mitigate, I'm going to give you a mitigating factor in your offense, he is promoting grace. Why? Because the law is powerful if they walk hand in hand with grace. So let me go back and create an analogy here.
O que faltou
What
naquele ministério para
what
salvar
lacked in
quase 1.000
that
pessoas
ministry
que
to
se
save
perderam
those 1,000 people?
foi a graça
It was the
de
grace
respeitar a
in
consciência
respecting
daqueles médicos.
and respecting the conscience of those doctors and nurses. They wanted better
Eles só
conditions.
queriam ter a oportunidade
But they wanted
de
and
ser
all
ouvidos.
they needed is the opportunity
governo podia
to have
não
dialogue.
resolver.
Maybe the government would say, no, we're not going to help you, we can't help you. However,
de ouvir
what happened was that they were denied the liberty and the right to be listened. That was the grace, and that grace would have saved those 1,000 countrymen of mine who perished.
Hoje,
Today,
os promotores destas graças,
the promoters of these freedoms, who are they?
através das escrituras
Religious.
sagradas,
Because through their religious books, the scriptures, it will
respeito,
and condense that flame of respect,
tolerância
of
e do
tolerance,
respeito entre as pessoas.
and mutual respect
toda a
among
sociedade.
peoples in all societies.
Na África, principalmente,
In
os
Africa,
religiosos são
especially
importantes atores da pacificação dos conflitos.
religious individuals
No meu
are
país,
important
tivemos duas guerras,
actors
duas mais uma,
of
três.
being passive
todas elas,
peacemakers. In Africa, in my country,
assinatura
we have had 3
Da
wars.
cessação das
And
hostilidades,
in all of
teve
them,
sempre
the
participação
reason
da
why
religião.
every time
dos
one of those
líderes
wars
religiosos.
ended,
Por isso que eu quero pedir
religious
uma
leaders
vênia
were
e uma salva de
responsible
palmas
for that.
a
Can you
todas as
please
sociedades
join
que
me
respeitam a
and
consciência,
clap
a
to all of those
religiosidade
individuals,
e o
all of
direito
those
à
individuals
liberdade.
that
Uma salva de
respect their
palmas para
liberty?
todos
Please, an ovation, if you could, to those that respect all religiosity and tolerance.
Mas a liberdade também,
However, the
eu fiquei com
liberty,
poucos minutos, a liberdade
sorry,
também,
I only have a few minutes.
ele
Liberty,
tem os seus limites. Não?
there's limitations to those liberties. Let me tell you a small story right now, and how carefully we need to have with the liberty. Last week there was some news in my country that a religious prophet found out that a family lost their son. 3 days later, this prophet said, "You have to. I am going to resurrect this man that died." The family said, "Okay, we are going to exhume the body." And then he tried to resurrect this man, and of course, the person was not resurrected. What happened with that was that religious leader did something that and end up actually doing worse than not. So that's what I mean when we say we cannot do everything, right? Another thing that is happening in my country, in the northern part of Mozambique, which is an isolated case, we found out that we have natural gas. With that came hell. You know, terrorists came and said, oh, we're going to be here. First, it was an issue of the state that needed to come and help. So today, it became a religious problem. The fundamentalists, what they do, they go into a small village. They get there and they say, "Hey, are you Muslim? Go to the right. If you are not, go to the left." And then they preserve the mosques and those who follow Islam, and everybody else it's assassinated. They kidnapped missionaries. They destroy churches, and this is hurtful. Can you hear me? This is so sad. It is so difficult to see all of this in my country. A country, a society can only grow if she respects the conscience of each of the individuals, their individual choices, the value that each person gives to their own life. If we do not respect that, we will be condemned to be a society that failed. I would like sincerely to thank you as I end my remarks. And then as I speak with academia, I want to thank BYU does to grow the diversity, I was talking to a friend of mine, and my friend and I were talking. I'm so in love with this school that I want my daughter, who wants to go to the United Kingdom, I want her to come here because I love this place. And I told my friend, look, I have worked in the Middle East, and my friends in the Middle East, even if they are Muslim, they send their children here. So Gabriel, talking to me, we believe in the spirit of BYU, and I believe that my son, this is the friend talking, he can complete his education in a way, in a mature way, in a pure way as a human being. This is beautiful to hear for a father. So I want to congratulate you because BYU, Brigham University, is an example of liberty, of respect, of conscience. When Jews, Muslims, Christian, they can all come to be here in the same space and feel the same light, feel the same environment. For example, come here to this conference. So many leaders from all over the world, everybody eating the same food, looking at each other, and we all feel children of the same God, of the same Father. And we say thank you. There are people here that really, they make the difference. And BYU, it's one of those. Thank you so much.